What's up, everyone? Thralls of Metal back again with yet another excellent album review. I'm Shredlord.
Necrotic Nick. So today we are going to go over the newest offering from Sweden's Tribulation, Where the Gloom Becomes Sound. This came out on the 29th of this month, January, on both Metal Blade and Century Media. Now, if you're in the US like us, you're going to get it on Metal Blade, at least on CD, but I believe internationally, it'll all be Century Media. I was a little confused because when I looked it up, it just said all Century Media, but, you know, looking at the notes in the CD, yeah. Anyway, this band formed in 2004 in Sweden, started as a death metal act. Actually, I have their first album, The Horror, and it absolutely whoops ass. But apparently somewhere along the line, these guys got bit by a rabid Pete Murphy or Robert Smith and turned into a goth metal band. Now, they've been doing this sound for a while now. This is their 5th album overall, and I think the 4th within this style. And as far as I know, this is the last one with their longtime guitarist, Jonathan Hulten. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He left last year after the recording of this album, so he is on this album. But once again, this band has kind of just bridged so many different genres, not only within metal, but within music. The old school goth feel on this album is immediate. Yeah. Like you just feel it. All that old 80s goth energy mixed with metal is just all over the place in this. Opening track, In Remembrance, has a nice slow build. The creepy keys on this actually kind of remind me of like combination of like the score from Halloween or The Exorcist. It's just kind of slowly building up, maybe a little bit of Phantasm. It was very cinematic, and then boom, it just explodes into atmospheric guitars and this sort of marching beat and this steadily building energy.
The 3 elements that really stuck out to me in this entire album, no matter what the track was, the drums, bringing that certain upbeat feel, almost that, you know, industrial, slight techno feel at times, to give it that energy. The playing of the keys, because the keyboards were something I can be weird about with an album, self-proclaimed.
Yeah, same here.
But they were done very tastefully, and then the way the guitars were mixed too. And then, if I were to make up a 4th, it would be how they mix with each other. They both played very well off of each other, and this album did very well using keyboards a lot. Like, there was a lot of keyboards, but it was done so tastefully.
For a band that doesn't have like a keyboardist either, it's the guitarist that does all the keys in the studio. He knows how to mix them well with the guitars. Like, you hear harmonies not within just the guitars, you hear them mingling with keyboards too.
Yeah.
And guitar-wise, like, you get quite a run of the gamut here. Like, you have like, you know, very 80s metal moments, namely the Funeral Pyros, their second single, has almost a Bark at the Moon style sort of like chuggy riff to it. A little bit on the thrashy side, but then you get down to like their first single, Hour of the Wolf. There's a clean tone in there that just screams like, I don't know, gothic Tom Petty or well, Blue Oyster Cult at least.
A little BOC.
But the thing across the board on this album is hooks. They find a way to craft melodic hooks left and right, but it doesn't come off cheesy.
And they don't do it the same way every song. The structure changes.
Yes.
It's not like they just said, okay, A, B, C, B, C, you know, it wasn't a formulaic kind of thing. The songwriting stays very fresh throughout the whole album, and it's a great ride. It doesn't get stale. Even, I didn't really even realize that. So you just told me right there, the guitar player does the keyboards and stuff. There's an excellent track called Lathe.
Yeah.
Which is this really beautiful classic piano. You know,
it's
this old, and it's really cool. It was a nice, very short, it wasn't overdone, you know, it wasn't 5 minutes, but it was a nice little segue into the second half of the album.
And you can definitely tell that they have this interesting, like, homogenized sound. Like, it is this blend of...
Like milk, only different.
It's from, like, all different camps, and, again, it just kind of comes together as their sound. And one of the things that keeps it from being cheesy are the vocals. The bassist does all the vocals. He's one of the principal songwriters, I believe, too. They're all harsh, but they're all really well done.
But I think that's... So when we were listening to this, that's one of the things we discussed. I totally agree with you on the fact that keeping those vocals harsh is one of the main reasons why it didn't go into Cheese Whiz Factory land for me.
It keeps a certain darkness.
It keeps it grounded.
Yeah.
It allows the melodies to be the soft things in the song, and the vocals are the, you know, the aggressive speaking points, and I thought that was a really nice way of doing it.
And like lyrically, from what I was listening to, like it's a lot of dark storytelling. Like this is like, you know, reading through Edgar Allan Poe's diary. Like, well, that's depressing. That's morose. That would make a great song.
I felt like chain smoking Camel Wides and drinking coffee at a Big Boy until 6 in the morning, listening to Joy Division.
That is absolutely the feel, and the atmosphere across this album. Again, it doesn't matter what track, you really are just kind of greeted to this overall gloomy atmosphere, whether it's like an upbeat track or like a really like downtrodden dirge. And of course, in terms of dirge, we'd have to talk about the song Dirge of a Dying Soul. This brings in all the gloom. It's notably slower. It's
very sad, very sad.
Oh, very like lumbering pace to it. I particularly like the interplay on this song, especially in terms of all the guitars and the keys. They come together and form these just beautiful but depressing melodies. Like you could just kind of feel the glumness all over this album. This one especially, it just checks off all of the goth boxes. And I would even go as far as to say is this is the music I think I would have expected for seeing a picture of Ghost. Not exactly what you get when you listen to Ghost. I mean, it's still gothic, but it's like Scooby-Doo gothic. This is like, you know, these guys love goth and metal, and it blends together really well. And then the song Inyana, which, I don't know, it kind of screams as though it's a story first, and then the music is essentially one melody that starts off slow, picks up in intensity, and they keep building leads and melodies on top of it, and then it kind of just bookends the slow melody. The entire song is just this one melody, and it has this cool rise and fall. And again, it's just loaded with that beautiful gloominess.
It made me very sad inside. There was a 14, 15-year-old me crying somewhere.
I'm all out of clove cigarettes. No one knows me at this goth bar.
Some great tracks for me that stood out were some of the more upbeat tracks. A track like Elementals had a almost Wasp feel in the beginning, almost like a doomy Wild Child riff, which I really enjoyed. And in Elementals, I feel like it really showcased the point that Necrotic was just talking about, how they do a great job of homogenizing their influences. The track Elementals, to me, kind of takes you all over the place as far as some of their influences.
The 80s metal feel on there, and I really like the lead. The lead on this song, I thought, was especially just that sort of 80s glory. There's really cool tom hits that kind of like signals like, oh yeah, we're building up to this moment. Get your lighters ready. No, it's not a ballad. Fuck that. Get your fist ready.
No, get your lighter ready because someone just died and it's time to have a Viking funeral and shoot flaming fucking arrows down the river and catch that corpse on fire.
And that's where we have a funeral pyre.
Oh my God, what a beautiful segue. That was the next song I was going to talk about. Funeral Pyre. Another excellent fucking in-your-face, what did I put? Fast-paced, epic death march. This song was fucking exciting. It was epic. It was borderline Warbringer thrashy.
It was a little bit thrashy. Like I said, the first thing I thought of when I heard that opening riff was Bark at the Moon, Ozzy. Like, it has that sort of feel to it. But I like the contrast between the verses and then you get down to the chorus, which has this beautiful dissonant melody in it and just, again, screams goth rock again. And the flip between the two and the guitar work, it's just an awesome song. And that's pretty much what I could say about this entire album. This album is loaded with awesome songs. Now, the one that really stands out, just because, you know, throughout most of this album, it is gloomy, melancholy, sullen, all those adjectives. There's probably some other ones I'm not bringing up, but, you know, sad. You get down to the Wilderness, and you get down to like an almost like epic feel. Like, you've been down in the pits, been glum as hell, and this one's like, hey,
but now Bruce Dickinson is here.
This is the lifter
to pull you up. Bruce Dickinson with the Maiden goth epic guitar lead in. It comes in and Bruce Dickinson is fucking coming down. Get from the chopper. Well, actually, he's an airplane pilot, so Bruce is flying the Ed Force One, and he's flying, and then he like puts the airplane on autopilot, and he rappels down, and he's like, "Here, man, I'm offering you some fucking hope. Take the rope."
except he sounds like this. So you still get all that. Honestly, it reminded me a lot of like Enslaved. You brought up Opeth. There's an epic kind of proggy feel to it.
Yes.
It's one of the longer songs. It's, I believe, the second longest track on here. And I just really end up liking how well this song was like constructed, and it had a totally different feel again. There's a cool part where everything kind of drops out in the middle of it, and then you get like a bass solo, which I thought was really cool.
Nice touch.
And I have to say, there's almost like a folkish undertone to it. Like it feels like a drinking song almost. Except we're drinking cranberry juice and vodka. That's pretty much like the stereotypical goth drink,
Like
right?
Necro Goblin is taking a piss and trying to get it to squirt you in the face through the wind.
That's unbelievably disgusting of him. I don't know where he's been.
Hanging out with R. Kelly, obviously.
But overall, I was thoroughly immersed in this. I loved Down Below. I thought that was an awesome album. This, I think, surpasses it. I think pretty much any hint of their old death metal days are gone. But what they're doing now, I think, is absolutely incredible. I'm going to go ahead and give this one 4.5 stars. I enjoyed every track in here. I didn't even bitch about the interlude. The interlude was pretty enough for me not to bitch about. There was no real lost momentum on here. Some of the drum beats got a little repetitive, but I didn't care because I was being greeted to melodies and riffs that were insanely memorable. And again, those gritty vocals kept it grounded. It kept it harsh enough where, you know, I wasn't like, yeah, this is too sing-songy. This is a great album, and if you love gothic anything, get it, because it's great.
I also really enjoyed this album. The guitars were incredibly tasteful throughout this album. This guitar player is able to give you a range of really awesome, crunchy, slow, doom-filled riffs to very technical, beautiful, melodic leads, but never overdoes it. So I thought he showed a lot of good taste and restraint. I can say the exact same thing with the keyboard parts. They were absolutely awesome and added nothing but texture and greatness to the songs. The production was very modern, yet organic, which also I thought was a great deal. Great choice on staying with heavy vocals throughout the whole thing. And this was something that I think I'll listen to a lot more later on down the road. So I'm also going to give this a 4.5. That's
a banger. That's an absolute banger. And that pretty much kind of goes with this month. There's been a lot of really good albums so far for 2021. So yeah, I sincerely hope all the bands out there are going to keep this up because I like this trend. So if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, subscribe because we do stuff like this all the time. But also, we have a giveaway going on. Once we hit 4,500 subs, we're going to give away a nice little bundle of music. There is a video that should play automatically as soon as you go to our channel. If not, I'm going to leave a link in the description for it. So get on that because there's a lot of cool stuff in there. We will get you later.